Good evening. We are live at Aintree in Liverpool, ahead of one of the biggest events in the sporting calendar.
Hello. This famous old course is about to host the Grand National, a horse race watched by hundreds of millions, but one that sharply divides opinions.
Here's what's coming up on tonight's programme. The changes organisers hope will make racing safer. Animal rights campaigners say horses are being sacrificed for entertainment.
The activists who delayed the start last year say they have no plans for a repeat, but a huge police operation will include undercover officers at the course.
They'll be jockeying for position tomorrow, but today the horses and riders coming together to visit children in hospital.
Party time at the races. Thousands turn out amid the glitz and glamour of Ladies' Day at the National.
And in the weather, it's been a day where big hats meet high heels. But as we put our best hoof forward tomorrow for the big race, what's the forecast going to be? Well, that and the details for the rest of the region coming up shortly.
Well, the Grand National Festival is well underway. 2 full days of racing have already taken place. We are broadcasting tonight from beside the parade ring, with the Grand National Trophy itself with us. Tomorrow, 34 horses and their riders are due to gather here before the start of the big race, with this wonderful piece of silverware at stake.
That number has been cut from previous years to, as the organisers put it, ensure the best possible welfare conditions. It's one of a number of changes brought in here as the issue of protecting the welfare of the horses and their jockeys continues to be hotly debated.
Well, in fact, 1 horse has died after falling today, bringing to 64 the number of fatalities since the year 2000. Our correspondent Chris Hall has this report.
The one thing to unite racing fans and animal activists is that no one wants to see this again.
It looks like we're going to have a bypass of fence number 1 on this first circuit, so moving round the outside of the obstacle.
Blocking their path, Hill 16, the horse which died at the first fence of last year's Grand National. To avoid a repeat, that fence has been brought forward 60 yards with a standing start, another change to tradition.
With a standing start, it's technical, but if you're standing behind the horse that's standing, there's a chance he won't move. So you have to stand beside him rather than behind him. And again, that creates the concertina effect of creating width. Whereas with a rolling start and the first fence further away, it was easier to gain momentum.
Is it overall everybody's in favour of all of these, or are there some dissenting voices?
It's called change. Does everyone like change?
And these are big changes. For the first time in 40 years, the field has been reduced. There are now 34 horses instead of 40, and the start time has been brought forward an hour.
Absolutely crucial to what I do is having ground that's safe for racing, and one of the things that we know is that good to soft ground is optimal for racing over the Grand National course. And so the less time we have for that ground to dry out, Aintree is a very quick drying course, particularly in the spring, the better really.
One of the reasons for the reduction in the size of the field is ironically because they made this racecourse safer. You see, 10 years ago, the safest way over these fences was actually around the outside, where the drop wasn't as great as it is on the inside. But 10 years ago, they made all of these fences safer with a more even drop, and the jockeys and the horses realised that the most competitive way around this racecourse was around the inside. That's led to bunching up. And the hope is that by reducing the number of horses in the field, it will ease that congestion over these fences.
They want to reduce the number of people at the fences too.
Protesters have got on to the racecourse.
Last year, the start of the Grand National was delayed by 14 minutes after protesters broke onto the course. So security has been strengthened here with undercover officers among the 130,000 racegoers.
We believe that some form of protest is likely. We have specialist behavioural detection officers to observe crowds, observe people and identify when behaviour may suggest criminal intent.
The Grand National historically has killed horses since its very beginning. It is the most demanding race upon a horse. And when you find that fewer than half of the horses finish every year, these are supposedly fit, healthy athletes, clearly there's a problem when half of the field can't even get round.
Hill 16 wasn't the only horse death at Aintree last year. 2 others made it 7 deaths in 2 years, a statistic all sides want to change.
Of course, there'll always be some people who think that the only way to keep these horses safe is not to race them at all. What would you say to that?
I would say that these horses are athletes. They're bred to race, they're trained to race, they're trained to be at the top of their game when they come to the race course. They are given veterinary treatment, they are looked after in such a way that they are finely tuned athletes, and that's what they're here to do.
There have also been minor safety changes to some of the other races this week, but with a horse dying every other day from racing in the UK, the sport's showpiece event will continue to face great scrutiny.
And Chris is out on the course this evening for us. Chris, the Jockey Club says significant changes have been made to this festival, but the animal welfare campaigners are not satisfied.
Well, there is an important distinction to be made between animal welfare groups and animal rights groups. The Jockey Club already works with World Horse Welfare and the RSPCA, who were both consulted for their opinions during this safety review, but no amount of safety measures will satisfy animal rights groups like Animal Rising or Animal Aid. They believe that horse racing is fundamentally wrong, particularly jump racing like they have here, and they want it stopped altogether. And that view will have been strengthened today with the death of another horse, Giovinco, who fell at the final hurdle in the first race today. You may remember that the protesters who broke onto this racecourse last year were from Animal Rising. They say there won't be a repeat of that this year. Merseyside police aren't taking that for granted. They say there could be other groups planning protests of their own. The Jockey Club is keen to stress that these safety measures aren't being implemented this year as a result of those protests last year. Rather, they have a review every 10 years or so. Last time they changed the fences, this time it's a change to the start of the race and a reduction in the field size. What we all hope is that these new safety measures keep all of the horses safe tomorrow.
We certainly do. Chris Hall, our sports correspondent, out on the course there. Thanks very much for that.
Well, what can't be disputed is how huge an event the Aintree Festival has become. Around 150,000 people will pass through the gates by the time the meeting ends on Saturday evening.
The Grand National itself will be watched by a TV audience around the world of around 800 million people, and a 45,000 strong crowd is expected for Ladies' Day at Aintree today.
Some of the jockeys who'll ride in the race tomorrow have taken part in the now traditional visit to Alderhay Children's Hospital.
More from our correspondent, David Chisnell.
Ladies' Day at Aintree, when the action off the racecourse generates just as much attention as on it.
Cheers!
Dressed to impress, it remains one of the highlights for many social calendar.
Cheers! It's the people make it, the style, the fashion obviously, but it's beyond anything else. I love that everybody really makes an effort and goes to town. It's going to be an amazing day.
This is actually my friend's dress. I cannot take credit for the dress, so a wee bit of a sustainability theme this year, so I thought why not roll with it, but it's all about the hat, you know, so bright, floral, can't go wrong.
It is all my own work, apart from he packed his own trousers under the wrong colour, but...
If you're coming for a good day, be positive, give it 110%.
I'm Holly Golightly inspired from Breakfast at Tiffany's.
I'm Marilyn Monroe inspired. And I'm Rose from Titanic.
First time here, so very excited.
Exactly.
Once I learn how to place a bet, I'll be more excited.
What horse are you riding in the National?
Along with all the style, there's been plenty of substance as well today, as jockeys joined the 2012 Grand National winning horse Neptune Collage to make their annual visit to Alderhay Children's Hospital.
Very amazing hooves. It was really, really nice. It looked a bit like a unicorn. It looked so magical. It was so good.
Maisie, what was that like meeting the horse?
It was good because I would get to feed it.
So what did you feed it?
Pillows.
Did it take them? What was that like?
Strawberry.
It was a nice surprise because obviously when we came, my other daughter's inside waiting to see her doctor, so it was kind of like you said, I was a Grand National horse outside. We were like, oh, first time for everything.
It really hits home the important things in life, I suppose, and yeah, it's great. You know, you can give families just a couple of minutes talking to someone who isn't a medical profession. It's a very tough station for a lot of them in here, you know, kids and their parents as well. So yeah, it's lovely to be able to come in and maybe give them 5 minutes of something different.
Well, Rachel wrote herself into the history books in 2021 by becoming the first female jockey to win the National.
Many other times, Rachel Blackmore raises the bar still higher.
Well, what a story it would be if the Williams family had a winner tomorrow with their horse Kitty's Light. 6-year-old Betsy was diagnosed with leukemia 13 months ago, and despite undergoing daily chemotherapy, has made the trip with her family to see the horse run in the National.
What would it mean if he was to win the National tomorrow? How special would that be?
Really exciting.
Show us how you would celebrate if he was to win.
Scream. Scream.
Go on then, scream, jump up and down and cheer.
Big shock to the family. Been a bumpy road, but hopefully it's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel now, and great excitement today, and very, very special day. Big day tomorrow, obviously, but today is, we worry about that tomorrow.
Well, Betsy and Tilly had the tough job of judging today's Style Awards for the best dressed racegoer, and if their horse is a winner in the Grand National tomorrow, then Betsy will have even more reason to be dancing with delight. David Chisnell, ITV News, Aintree.
Yeah, it's a fabulous event every year, that. Well, we're delighted to be joined at Aintree by the former jockey Sir Anthony McCoy and the boxer Tasha Jonas. It says that in the script. What I'd say is both legends of their sports.
A very warm welcome to you both. So Anthony, if I could start with you. We are very much basking in the evening sunshine. The atmosphere's been fantastic today. What makes a Grand National so special to you?
I think the people of Liverpool make it really special. Look, I've got 4 sisters and 1 brother. They've never been on a horse in their life, so I'm not from a racing family. So the Grand National is, like for my family it was a once a year thing where people watched horse racing, and I obviously watched it when I was a kid, and I always thought, oh God, wouldn't it be amazing, ever to get to go to the Grand National and then maybe to get to ride in the Grand National. And obviously I failed 14 times before I actually won the Grand National.
You did win it.
I did
eventually
win it, thankfully. But the people of Liverpool make the Grand National special. They really do. I often think when I come to Liverpool, it's a little bit like being in Ireland. They're just really friendly.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, they're just really, really friendly people, and that's what I love about it.
Natasha, the people of Liverpool really do their bit, don't they, to give a warm welcome to everybody attending?
Yeah, I think it reflects who we are as a people and as a community. We love a party, we love to drink, we love to invite everybody and get involved, and that's what it's a reflection of the people that come and support it.
You've been to every event around the world, around the country. How does it compare to all the other events?
It's right up there. Since I retired, I obviously was riding for 20 odd years, and that was the only thing that was important to me, and since then I've been lucky enough to go to pretty much whatever sporting event I'd like to go, but there is nothing like the Grand National, because that's what I grew up as a kid wanting to go and be and take part in and be able to be there on Grand National Day. So this year's Grand National is no different. I know that there's a smaller field, there's only 34 runners, but if anything it may be as good a Grand National in terms of quality as we've ever had. Like last year's winner, Corrick Rambler, arguably ran his best ever race last time in the Cheltenham Gold Cup. Now he's going to be close to favourite or near enough favourite with I Am Maximus, but the depth of the field is like unbelievably good, so it's going to be a brilliant Grand National.
And Natasha, most of the people here today didn't really care about the racing. They came for the dress and the hair and the hats. Some people plan it for a year, don't they?
Yeah. Listen, it's a long time planning event, and to be honest, I've been coming for the last maybe 15 years. It took me 4 times of coming before I ever even seen a horse, because I was just so intrigued with everything else that was going on. There's just a lot to do and get involved in. But yeah, I think the Style Awards is always one of the big events on Ladies' Day, and everyone comes out and puts the best foot forward, and Liverpool is a city that's like renowned for its fashion, so you've got to come dressed to impress.
I wish I'd got some sequins for my jacket. I want to see you.
So Anthony, I mean, lots of fun and frolics, lots of excitement here today, but we can't get away from the fact that 64 horses have now died at the races. Changes have been made, the fence has been moved forward, fewer horses starting the race. These are significant changes, and it's a shift from what we've seen traditionally.
Yeah, and I think for the BHA and for Rivian Horse Racing, they've really made a huge effort to make sure those changes. You're trying to make improvements all the time. Look, in sport and in life, it's very hard to eliminate the risk from everything. You know what I mean? You can't, whether it be boxing or whatever sports there will always be dangers in sport, but it's to try and eliminate them as best as possible. And I think with the stats and all the statistics that
they have put out recently, they've proved that they're doing that. And as I said, yeah, that's what you want to do. You want to make it as best as possible as you can, and it's such a great event, and we look forward to it tomorrow.
And how worried are you about protesters spoiling the big event tomorrow?
I don't think they will. I don't think I don't think there's any place for it. I think whatever about anything else, I think the people of Liverpool showed last year how much they didn't appreciate what they did. And yes, we've had lots of talk from Animal Rising and different that, but some of these people are talking about getting rid of cats and dogs from your house, and I remember going home last year listening to the radio in my home, and they were wanting to let chickens out of chicken farms and release every animal into the wild. Unfortunately, the world doesn't look like the world doesn't work like that. And genuinely, if I was to come back in my next life, I was in Martinstown where JP McManus is his horses, and I saw Don't Push It 2 weeks ago, who won the Grand National in 2010. I was jealous of him. I would love to be where Don't Push It is now.
Natasha, just briefly, where will you be watching the big race tomorrow?
I'll be back.
Really?
I'm back here, yeah.
You're spoiled.
I know, it's like 2 days in a row.
Both of you, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you
for speaking to us this evening.
Thank you.
Well, we'll be back at Aintree shortly, but here's Mel with a roundup of today's other news.
Thanks, Kamal and Anne. In other news tonight, Greater Manchester Police have launched an investigation into Labour's Deputy Leader Angela Rayner after she was accused of potentially breaking electoral law by failing to properly disclose her main home on the electoral roll. She denies any wrongdoing in relation to a former council house she sold 9 years ago. This new investigation comes after Bury North Conservative MP James Daly made police aware of neighbours contradicting her statement that a property separate from her husband's was her main home. The Labour Party said it remains confident that she has complied with the rules.
We welcome this investigation because it will allow a line to be drawn in relation to this matter. I am fully confident that Angela Rayner has not broken the rules. She will cooperate with the investigation as you would expect, and it's really a matter for the police.
A man from Burnley will stand trial in November, charged with the murder of a woman who was killed whilst pushing her baby in a pram. Kulsama Akhtar from Oldham was stabbed in the neck on Saturday afternoon in Bradford. She later died in hospital. Her 25-year-old husband, Habiba Massum, appeared before Bradford Crown Court by video link from HMP Leeds earlier. No plea was entered and Massum was remanded in custody. Former Rochdale midfielder Joe Thompson has revealed he has been diagnosed with cancer for a third time. Joe, who also played for Tranmere Rovers, Carlisle United and Bury, was first cleared of Hodgkin's lymphoma after 6 months of chemotherapy in 2014. The father of two then took a break from the game when he underwent further treatment in 2017, returning to Rochdale later that year. Writing on X, formerly known as Twitter, Joe said, "We've walked through darkness as a family before, and we will do it again." A solicitor who represented some of the Hillsborough families is being given Liverpool's highest civic honour. Elkan Abrahamson has worked with many of the families of the 97 Liverpool fans who died in the disaster. He'll be given the freedom of the city in a ceremony at the town hall later. Monday marks 35 years since the disaster. A letter written by J.R.R. Tolkien to an 8-year-old fan from Lancashire has sold at auction for £8,000. The author of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings sent the letter to Christopher Howard from Orskirk 63 years ago. And it's back now to Aintree for more from the Grand National meeting. Anne and Gamal.
Mel, many thanks indeed.
What beautiful sunshine we're experiencing here tonight, which is very unusual on Ladies' Day. Earlier, I spoke to the ITV racing presenter, Alice Plunkett, a former jockey. She's the only woman to have ridden the national course and badminton horse trials. I asked her why, as the world changes so much, the appeal of the national remains so strong.
The world is changing and it's becoming more vanilla, it's becoming more risk averse. Bravery is something that's not necessarily, I think post-COVID, something that's celebrated, and yet here everything is about bravery, challenge, facing risk in a way that is controlled, but there is risk, and sometimes that's difficult to relate to, but somehow here at Aintree everybody comes together and celebrates these extraordinary horses, these amazing jockeys, the stable staff and the teams behind them, to face a risk that they know they're capable of doing and seeing who comes out on top. And then as for the Liverpool support and the local attendance and the colour that brings, it makes it such a unique event.
It does have its critics though. Some say it's too risky. Animal rights protesters say that the welfare measures that have been put in place are just not enough.
The Jockey Club and racing consistently reviews the safety measures to make it a calculated risk. You can never take risk out of racing horses at 40 miles an hour over fences. And that is something that we deal with and face all the time. I think the changes they've made this year are really interesting and absolutely spot on.
You're a former jockey yourself. You ran this course when you were just 19. What's it like? Is it as scary as it looks?
Do you know what? It's the ultimate challenge as an equestrian rider. I rode a horse that when my granddad died, he said I can see his white face landing over beaches or coming up the hill at Cheltenham. And for me, it was a lifetime ambition. I know I was only 19, but it's something that no one can ever take away from me. That probably national and international velvet ruined my life, you know, as the guiding principles. But it was an amazing experience.
And it's Ladies' Day, a fantastic day here on Merseyside. You say that this is one of very few sports where men and women can run on level terms, but it is still male dominated. Is enough happening to bring more women in?
It's a challenge for women, as many things are, but as society changes, trainers don't feel as protective. You know, if you talk to my granddad, he wouldn't have wanted to put a woman on a horse because he would have felt responsible for the risk to that woman. That's a completely different thing now. We know as women that we're in charge of whether we want to take risk or not.
Do you partake of the Merseyside hospitality, the legendary Liverpool nights out?
Do you know, we go to Cheltenham and it's like sort of the Olympics. We come here and there's something about Aintree being an urban racecourse, and it very much is an urban racecourse, which is a totally different vibe. So where we have the sort of Peaky Blinders and Tweed at Cheltenham, here we have a style and a culture that comes across the course. We stay in Southport, which I love because it's great fun. We still have that Merseyside feel, but we're not absolutely in the thick of it because we've got a job to do after all. And I think the pride that Liverpool holds in this race is absolutely justified.
And so many people here are fashion experts, but we know that pink is the colour this year.
We do, girl.
Alice Plunkett, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
Finally, a flutter on the Grand National might be the only bet many of us make all year. For what it's worth, Corach Rambler is the favourite among many bookies for a victory tomorrow, which would be his second in a row.
I've been out and about among the crowds this afternoon to get some thoughts on how to pick a winner. How are you finding the Grand National weekend so far?
It's very nice. I came over from Monaco.
From Monaco?
Yes, and my friends invited me, and it's absolutely amazing.
How would you describe the atmosphere today, sir?
Fantastic. I have never seen anything like it, ever. I used to live in Dubai, and I went to the horse race there, but this is topped it 10 times.
Any superstitions ahead of the races?
No, not really. No, I'm open to obviously feedback on bets, but no, fingers crossed. It's just win or lose. I think it's just a good day out. So yeah, I'm happy.
Talk me through the outfits. You guys look absolutely fabulous.
Thank you. Multi-coloured.
And what about you?
I've got a jumpsuit on today. Yeah, a bit different. Comfort is key.
Do you have any superstitions, any tips that you can share with us?
Yeah, I back a horse with 4 legs. Right. Every horse has got to have 4 legs.
Yeah, we're just a little bit lost. We're looking for West Tip. We don't know which way we're going, do we?
How often do you guys come to the Grand National weekend?
This is about a fourth time.
What makes you keep coming back?
The atmosphere, just the whole birthday. Really. Oh, it's Vicky's birthday!
Can you get Vicky? Hey, happy birthday to you! Do you want to hear a secret? It's my birthday too. Thank you very much.
21 and at Aintree. What a great birthday.
Right, Anne, right. So what does weekend weather have in store?
Let's join Emma, who must have one of the best views of the racecourse.
I absolutely do. I am a lucky girl. I have a proper bird's eye view. My friends and colleagues are always saying, you know, you got your head up in the clouds, so it's about time I went to join it. Let's take a look and see what the forecast holds for the weekend.
Have you burnt tea again?
I'm scraping the cooled oil into the bin, not the sink.
Can we eat outside? It's nice.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
So we have a fantastic view here at the Grand National course for tomorrow. All eyes are on the race for tomorrow. But first of all, the general overview for the next few days is that it is going to be quite cloudy. It will be pretty breezy at times as well, and there will be some April showers in the forecast, certainly as we go through to the start of next week. But focusing on the big race itself for tomorrow, well, there will be a lot of cloud around, more chance of showers as we head into the afternoon. We have this magnificent view straight down to the first 6 fences. Well, actually, the wind's going to change direction tomorrow, coming more from the west, a colder direction. It's going to be really gusty, gusts of 30-35 miles an hour. So the jockeys will have the winds in their faces as they set off, but actually they have a following wind as they ride to the racing post, to the finishing line. Taking a broader view, the jet stream is kind of meandering nicely southwest to northeast at the moment. A mild day today, but turning colder over the next few days, and certainly by the time we get through to Sunday and Monday, you will feel the difference. But just rewinding to the next few hours, it's a really scruffy picture overnight tonight. Clearer skies to the south, stubborn cloud in the north, poor visibility over the tops of the Pennines and Lake District, 800 metres. Also that wind through the Irish Sea and across the Isle of Man, still quite breezy, not as gusty as it was today, but quite lively. You can see we've got a little bit of that here this evening as well. And then, of course, we're into tomorrow. And it will be bright for some of us to start with, but again, there's a really awkward mix of weather around. Cloud is trying to sink southwards overnight. It won't make much headway until tomorrow. And when it does, it pulls in these showers northeastwards, and they could get quite gusty, again with gusts of 30-35 miles an hour, feeling a bit chillier. And then as we head into Sunday, drier and cloudier. Quite a few heavy showers on Monday, and some of these could turn wintry, fewer showers on Tuesday. Bye-bye.
It's a little bit burnt.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
And that is it from the team here at Aintree for now. ITV's coverage of the racing begins at 5-1 tomorrow lunchtime, with the Grand National itself due to start at the new time of 4 o'clock.
Don't forget, you can keep in touch by going to our website, itv.com/Granada. Now it's off to buy him a birthday cake. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.